Hi, Tim Dexter here from the Public Sector Business Intelligence Group. Really here to talk about Oracle's data visualization tools. And this tool is very much pitched at the business user, whether it be on your desktop or via a browser, accessing a local instance on a server, or whether it's in the Oracle Cloud, accessing a version running in there. You have choices. But it really does free you up from IT to be able to build your own analyses on top of data sets. And more importantly for me, as a user, I think being able to investigate your data more thoroughly. So rather than just sitting down inside Excel and trying to stick multiple Excel sheets together and trying to drill into the data, trying to pivot that data, you have a much easier tool here and a much easier time of maintaining those underlying data sets as well. So what you're looking at is a set of reports I put together based on some graduation data. So State of New York Education Department publish a data set on their website that shows graduation plans for seniors for the last 3 years. So whether they plan on going to college or going into the military or going directly into employment, that data is recorded by institution. So whether it be by schools then roll up into school districts roll up into counties, and they have all of that data. And loading that in is great, but I don't get the counties necessarily coming out of that data set. I don't get the school district names. I get a code. So what I also went out and found was, let's call it an address book. So the address book spreadsheet has those codes, but it also shows me the county name, it shows me the school district name, it shows me the schools. On the back end of this is the ability to glue those two data sets together, clean them up, remove some of the duplicates, put some extra calculations in, that type of capability, and come up with a very cleaned up data set that's very friendly in terms of the column names. And users can then start using this data. So if I've built it, I can then share it with my colleagues as a starting data set. And you can then add more and more data sets. As you'll see a little bit down through this presentation, I'm going to add in another data set to sort of give me another angle on this data. So what you're looking at are a set of reports built on top of that data set. And it's a fairly standard looking dashboard that you may well have built inside Oracle OBIE or any other BI tool. Right? We've got a toolbar, a prompt bar across the top. We've got bar charts, we've got maps, we've got more bar charts, we've got a table down the bottom. We have the ability to drill down into that table. One of the interesting things, though, is there's not a big data model sitting behind this that provides all of these drill down paths, the calculations. It's literally a pair of spreadsheets that I've glued together and added in some extra data. The tool can be told how to navigate down through the data. So how does a county relate to a school district, relate to a school, and that path down through the data. So that's one aspect that's very useful. The other, I've sliced and diced my data by time. I can kind of see some trends maybe through here. I can see the 4-year college degree is staying fairly flat. If I go through the employment, going straight to employment is growing slightly as we move through time. Which kind of piqued my interest a little bit. The other ability we've got in here is to see patterns within the data. So across these visualizations, they're actually all joined together. So I'm able to, here I've got charter schools. So I'm able to highlight charter schools, and you can immediately see through this concept of brushing the counties that have got charter schools inside them light up. And I would posit that maybe the counties with charter schools look slightly darker, because what this map is actually showing is I created a calculation that shows all the percentage of those grads that are planning 2 or 4 year college by county. So the darker the county, the more grads have plans to go to college. So that might be something worth investigating, but that's something that would not have necessarily come up if you didn't have this concept of brushing. So the ability to see new patterns in the data, very powerful. I'm actually going to flip away from this and go into something that I thought was very exciting about the tool, is the ability to investigate data. So I'm going to jump across into this graduation bars tab. And this is very, very simply just showing those graduation plans by county. And I've currently got this sorted by those kids planning on going straight into employment. So I've got the counties, I've got it sorted from high to low, those kids going straight into employment. And I was just playing around with this and looking at the various, going to a 4-year college versus 2-year college versus employment. Because what this allows me to do is resort very, very easily. So every single visualization has a right-click menu, which allows you to drill down on data, to remove a certain piece of the data set and focus on other areas. This case, all I'm doing is very, very simple sorts. So I'm going to sort now by 4-year college, high to low. Because remember I mentioned this this relationship I thought there might be. So now I'm looking at the blue bars 4-year college, which is a little hard to see, but we are in investigative mode, if you will. So we were in presentation mode, we are now out of that mode, and we can now interact with the visualization. We can make changes. So I can pick up the 4-year college, bring it to the bottom, so it's now the bottom bar. And the thing that caught my eye was the fact that I've got Westchester as a high number of kids planning on 4-year college versus very, very low planning on going straight into employment. So was there a relationship, and could I investigate that a little bit further? So yes, I can. One of the things I wanted to be able to do, though, is record my thoughts, right? So it's all very well presenting to a manager or to management, hey, here's my conclusion. Well, how did you reach that conclusion, Tim? Well, what the tool allows me to do is narrate or storyboard that conclusion as I work toward it. And I'm going to jump into that in a second. But first, what I wanted to show you was how do we build the reports. So I've actually got the data set is hidden away behind here. This. So here's the core data set that I built out with my 2 spreadsheets. I'm interested in percentage of 4-year college, hit the control key, versus percentage of employment by county. So I've just control clicked those, so I multi-select. I'm going to drag them and drop them when I get a blue bar. And it's going to present me with a scatter plot. So let's maximize my scatter plot. I can't really see much in here, right? There doesn't appear to be really that much of a pattern. But I can move things around. So let's swap the axes. Okay, so now I've got employment running across the bottom and 4-year college running across the top. There's a good distribution. Kind of, counties are falling along a line of some sort. Maybe I could overlay something if I could, just to see if there were a best fit line across there, but that's not particularly interesting. Something that has grabbed my eye are these 4 here. So that's Bronx, Kings, Queens, and New York State. New York County. They stick out, but statistically do they stick out? That's the real question. Well, the tool can show me that. So if I click up on this icon up here, I can do some statistical analysis out of the box. You can extend this. Some of those plugins I mentioned, there are extensions in there to do much more complex statistical analysis, and the underlying technology is R, which is an open source statistical modeling tool, and we can plug those in, and you can do way more than just this clusters, outliers, and reference line, trend line. Just for the sake of investigation, I'm going to run the outliers and see if there is anything that is actually outlying. So of my 4, only one of them really is, and this is Bronx. The other 3, they're not statistically outliers, but they still stick out visually at least. So maybe I want to do a bit more investigation. So I'm going to flip over to this Narrate tab now, because I'm going to walk you through my thought process. So I've got tabs across the bottom. So I've got that initial, here were my bar charts. Top one sorted by 4-year, bottom one sorted by employment. and then I've got some notes in here. So you can leave this breadcrumb trail. I move along to what I ended up calling underperforming counties, just because they kind of stuck out. And in this particular analysis, 2 of them were outliers this time. But they're still sticking out for me. But what is the reason maybe that they are sticking out? Certainly I haven't got anything in my data set here on the left hand side that I can use to really see if there was anything else. I kind of had the idea, poorer counties, kids are thinking more about employment. More affluent counties, kids immediately think of a 4-year college. So I went out to the US Census and I scraped some data by New York County, and I got population, labor force, median income, which I thought might be useful, and then the other one I spotted was high school dropout rate for 2015. Admittedly, just 1 year, but hey, let's use it. So my idea was it was median income that was actually causing kids to sort of influence their choice. So what I've done is dropped median income, and it's redrawn the plot and plotted all of the points now, and the size is based on median income. Well, Bronx is definitely smaller. You can see by the numbers, almost $13,000 different. But Kings and Queens, no, they're pretty similar to the others in my data set. So let's discard median income. Maybe my high school dropout rate might help. And we can immediately see these 4 are lit up because they're much, much bigger than anything else in the plot. That at least warrants a little bit more investigation. So my last tab on my socioeconomic factors showed, admittedly in different colors, but showed my 4 points using median income and not really seeing anything different, and then adding in the high school dropout rate, and it's flagging up my 4 counties as a possible reason to investigate further. My data set does not go any deeper. If I had maybe dropout rates for individual schools, or at least at the school district level, I'd be able to sort of do a little bit more digging, and ultimately then be able to investigate further, maybe start to change, have that influence policy, how we're actually going to help these kids going forward, so that those graduates who are coming through 2 or 3 years down the line don't necessarily drop out of school. So very, very powerful in terms of being able to do investigation, and equally useful being able to narrate or storyboard your thoughts, and then being able to zip this up. It'll generate a project file that you can then share with other people, and they can see your thought process. Maybe come back to you and divert from where you were going and look down another path. You've really got this ability to collaborate in terms of doing these investigations, to come up with testing ideas, being able to test a theory as to why these 4 counties stuck out. I want to thank you for your time today. I hope you find it useful. Oracle Data Visualization. Thank you so much.